How intertwined is your race with your identity?
Well, you need to think. My name is Nat and I'm 26 this year.
Hi, I'm Farah and I'm 31. And
We are
strangers. We just met.
Yeah.
Okay, next
Good at
question.
this game, I like.
Oh, thank you. You can buy it.
Oh, no problem. I'll support.
Okay, thank you. Very nice. Thank you.
You
Pleasure
purchase already,
doing
yeah?
this
Yeah,
business with
thank
you.
you.
Yes. How intertwined is your race with your identity?
You answer first.
I think like it depends where I am in the world. So I think in Singapore, like because I'm Chinese and I'm the majority, so I have the privilege to like not need to think so much about my race. But sometimes I do feel like I'm not Chinese enough because like my Chinese sucks. And like I don't even know much about my history. So in a way I do feel a little fraud. Like this is who I'm Chinese but I don't even know much about it. I can't even speak my language, my mother tongue properly. But then when I go overseas, like for example, because I studied in England, then it suddenly becomes like my whole identity because then on that flip side, I am the minority race, and then I like what's the word? I experience
Experience, yeah.
experience is the
Experience,
word.
yes.
I experienced like the discrimination, and then I remember when I was at university in England, I felt like I hated my race, and
Why?
I like internalized racism.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
understand. Okay.
yeah, and also because growing up, I was surrounded by a lot of white media, like in the media, like a lot of the Western culture in the media. So you grew up with this like, oh, white supremacy, like
Yeah.
white folks are better. So then going to England, surrounded by discrimination and also like just everything that I was growing up with and all my internalized racism, then I started to like, fuck, why am I Chinese? Like, I wish I was on a different race. But then, yeah. So I think it depends like where I am.
For us, I felt the otherwise. We don't, like for Malays, we don't feel superior or privileged because Malays are known for something. Always known of something. Can be anything. Okay, it's very sensitive topic to talk about. So then from there we have lack of privilege because of the little things that happen in Singapore.
Right.
Okay, in Singapore they start calling us, Malays are more, majority are juveniles.
Right.
That Malays can't succeed. Oh, Malays, do you have any condos or bungalows owned around here? No, right? There's no Malays, always Chinese hanging around there.
Right.
So doesn't mean that we don't have all that. We don't have to be prioritized here. So we felt discriminated in a way that a lot of things that we do, that we do, like for example, sitting in the MRT. Okay. Reserve seating. Okay, if you put, I have no issue against Chinese. My clients, my friends, a lot of Chinese. This is one of them. Okay, so like for example, me sitting at the reserve seating, can be an issue.
Yeah.
But if a Chinese youngster were to sit on the reserve seating, there's no issue.
Right.
That's the thing. Okay, what makes us different? The colors? Are we talking about the colors or the privileges now? So this is the question mark. So it happens again few days ago before I went to Greece. I sat on the reserve seating because I hurt my knees.
Right.
Few months back, I got in an accident. I just got banged by a car. I flew a few centimeters or few meters away from the car. It is a tragic accident 2 weeks before my competition.
Oh shit.
Okay, so I have this permanent meniscus tear, which I need to rest. I need to sit after 11 kilometers walk. So there's no oldies around me, right?
Yeah.
So might as well I sit on that chair first. So I look down. I've been working the whole day. So I look down, I sleep. So then after that, there's this one Chinese lady came with her trolley and hit me bang on the injured knees here. So I woke up from my sleep, I look at her. She said, hello, can you stand up? This is a reserve seating. Can you stand up? I want to sit. I stood up. Okay, at that point in time, I was aggressive because it was very painful.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I stood up, I said this, you can talk to me and ask me nicely instead of you
Yeah.
hitting that on my knees.
Yeah.
You don't know my story and I don't know what's your story.
Yeah.
You don't know what I've been through. You don't judge me by the look of me being a young person here in Singapore. I understand old people have privileges, but don't misuse it. So no, this is what I felt. But if you were to put a Malay auntie come forward, okay, let's say a Malay auntie come forward, she is like with her crutches or with the trolley, barely even stand. Nobody give a damn about giving them seats. But what if a Chinese auntie come towards them? Oh, auntie, sit down, 来坐坐。我可以讲华语一点啊。来auntie 坐坐。Wow, not fair.
Yeah, it's not.
Not fair lah. I mean, we all human being. What we are known as a multiracial country. Why aren't we acting like that? Like I am fair to your race. Why can't your race to be fair to me? I mean, I like I said, I have no issue at all. Okay, it's just my point of view and what I've seen for the past 22 years
and your experiences, which is totally valid.
Yes. Like I don't understand. You hit me. I can report you, but can you be? I mean, will they charge you for that? Because first, you're an old person, or are you Chinese? That's the question mark there. So that's why it is very difficult for us to understand, okay, what is it about us that is lacking that you cannot give the mature respect like how we are giving to you. You understand, right? So that's my point of view for this question.
When we talk about identity, a lot of it has got to do with values, right? Like what are the values that you live by? Maybe you can think about how those values could be intertwined with the race that you're in, the experience that you have as a Chinese individual.
I think in terms of values, then it's not so much. Like the values that I hold don't really intertwine with my race. And I think that it shouldn't. Like just because you're Chinese or like you're Caucasian or Indian, it shouldn't be like, oh, then I should be more polite or I should be, I don't know, what are the values do we have? I
guess a very common value across the board, like in all Asian countries, is respecting elders.
And I think that shouldn't come with your race. Like you should be respectful of other people, of elders, of even like young children, regardless of whether you're Chinese or white or black or Indian or Malay.
I was just gonna say that as well. I feel like the whole must respect your elders thing is truly an Asian thing that I've noticed. But I feel like it should be corrected into respect everyone. Respect everyone. Like I don't think you need some prerequisites for you to be respected as an individual. And I think that's what we need to change. I don't look at myself and go, oh, I'm Indian. But I know I'm Indian. Like, you know, there are moments in my life where I experience things and I'm reminded that I am a minority. But does that mean that every day I lead my life as I'm Indian, you know, like I don't do that. But I guess a lot of my interests and things that I, you know, find enjoyable in life is also because of my racial influence on things. So like I joined Indian dance as a child. I you know, continued dancing because I had that foundation in dance, and that kind of expanded my interest into the rest of the arts and everything. And that is because of the influence I had with Indian dance, right? I would say that when I was younger, my race was definitely a lot more of my identity, because the values I had when I was younger was very much connected with very traditional mindsets. So when I was younger, I would compromise anything to make a relationship work. But that's because, like, on a racial perspective, the people, the wives that I've seen, the mothers that I've seen, all exude this quality. And I felt like that's what it takes to be loved by a person who's also Indian. That's what it takes to be recognized as a quality woman, right? Now, I guess my race and how it intertwines with my identity has got to do more with understanding how privileged I am and how others in my race might also lack that privilege, and what I can do with my identity and with my qualities to bring them with me forward.
I'm Malay, so I do identify as a Malay girl. I appreciate everything about being a Malay though. I mean, I do love my culture. I think it's very vibrant. I don't try to run away from the fact that I'm Malay. So in fact, if anyone actually asks me like, oh, what race are you? Because maybe I think I look a bit different. So I do tell them like, yeah, I'm Malay. Yeah, I actually am. Yeah,
Very intertwined.
quite intertwined. Quite proud to be Malay actually.
I think when I think of this, I think of like the Chinese culture. Maybe like the part about, like filial piety and still having the communal family culture. And also, I think about how I do appreciate Chinese as a language and the heritage of Chinese. Okay, but honestly, I don't really think a lot about my race. Like, it's not something that I have to grapple with every day. So I don't really, like, honestly, I really don't think much about my race. I feel like for me, I also don't hold myself too closely to being Chinese. I don't know why. But I do love and appreciate my culture. And deep down, I know that there are some parts of me that's very deeply rooted in this culture,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to family ties and
Yeah.
also relationship. Yeah,
True.
but it's just that on a day-to-day basis, I don't really think about me being Chinese. Yeah, so that's my answer.
Okay, what does your family think about this?
I feel like my mom is more Chinese than my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom enjoys like the traditions of like Chinese New Year must follow this tradition, like Mooncake Festival must follow this or like whatever. But my dad's more chill. So I think because I didn't come from a super traditional Chinese family, I think that's why I'm not super like I'm Chinese. You know?
Yeah, understand.
I was never surrounded by, I guess, what traditional Chinese families would experience, which is actually I don't even know that because I was never surrounded by that, so I don't know what traditionally. I guess big gatherings. I think like big family gatherings, and then like I know some of my Chinese friends like every like weekends they'll go to their grandma's house, and their grandma's will cook like a big meal and stuff. But I never really got that, so.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, yeah. So I think maybe that plays a part into why I don't view Chinese as a big part of being Chinese as a big part of my identity. Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
Me neutral lor.
Neutral.
I mean, they celebrate Raya, they celebrate Raya.
Yeah.
If there's no celebration that say that, it's okay. But
Right.
race and religion are different, right?
Yeah.
They are more to religion
Right.
than focusing on race because my mom, she's a mixed blood.
Oh.
My father is an Indonesian Chinese pula. Indonesian Japanese. Okay, so it's like about the ancestors thing lah. So my mom's like mixed Indian, Javanese. Arab or Pakistan, forget already.
Right.
Yeah. So then after that, my father, pure Javanese.
Right.
So we are not very focused on that.
Right.
We are more focused to religion.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah.
What factors do you think contributed to this?
I don't know, I think yeah, the Malay culture generally it's really rich. I think traditionally like Malay people or Malay families, we still do keep to like our traditions and our culture pretty closely. Yeah. So I think at least for me personally, like growing up, it is something that, I am very much exposed to. I'd wanna bring it along with me, like as I grow up with my friends, or even when I have kids in the future, I do want to expose them to the Malay tradition and culture as much as possible.
I think that the fact that I don't really think about my race is obviously because I'm majority in Singapore. So then it just doesn't come to mind because it's just the norm. But also, I don't know if this contributes, but I work in a very international environment. So no one really asks you about your race. I think the most they ask is where do you come from, because everyone is all over the world. So they can be like from Southeast Asia, from Europe, from different parts of Latin America. And I've always been in international environments, so I don't really think so much about my race. Or I don't really like tie my identity so closely with my race. Yeah, but I know that when I reflect on my values, I feel that I can see how it connects to my roots as a Chinese or a Singaporean Chinese. So yeah.
I think it doesn't really affect me that much that I am a Malay also. I don't know. I'm not saying that like I look different or I don't look Malay, but I do think sometimes I do like look a bit different. So naturally people don't really associate me as being like Malay, or they ask me if I mix or things like that, right? So growing up, honestly, I've never really had to deal with like certain like stereotypes of being Malay. Yeah. I don't know to say if I'm like lucky or privileged in that sense. I don't know. But I've never had to deal with that, maybe because of the way I looked. I think some of my peers do experience quite a bit of it. Somehow I kind of escape from that. So I sometimes I don't really know how that feels because I don't get much of it. But yeah, I think like maybe like my peers or my friends, other people being a Malay in Singapore, that is what they struggle with. But for me, I don't really experience much of that.
What does the government think about this? The government want to ban me at this point. I'm kidding. I do think that I feel like as we become more and more of an internet community, right, where everyone's voice now has a platform, everyone's opinion has a place on the internet. The government is faced with
A lot more
of challenges. But I think it is good. I think it's good because I think instead of like the new way of governing, it shouldn't be trying to keep people in the dark. I feel like it's about transparency. It's about, you know, being vulnerable even. Like, I don't think all governments have to be perfect. But having a trustworthy, transparent government is helpful in making people feel safe within the country, making people have faith in their leaders. And when it comes to things like race, I wish the government actually addressed that, it can happen, like racially motivated things can happen, racial prejudice can happen, rather than just dismissing it as a handful of incidents. You know, because the thing is, it's so normalized to the point that we don't make a big deal about it, but it is affecting people's lives. It's affecting people's chances with opportunities that, you know, another race might be able to get with a lot more ease. It's affecting even our interracial relationships with other people.
And I think like coming from a majority race in Singapore, so that's why I don't feel it as much as my minority friends or like yourself. But do you think like the government is doing enough? Or like do you think?
I think the government can always do more.
Of
Y'all are the
course,
government. Like, y'all can do more. But I can see, if I'm to be very fair, I will say that the government has started to integrate more with our needs. I feel like I'm seeing more and more of our leaders on social media platforms where people can communicate with them, and there's this interaction, and it helps them to connect with us. So I think that's actually an effort to understand us better. So I do think that our government is capable of adapting to the changes. I just think that they just need to be not so scared of being vulnerable and acknowledging that Singapore does have its flaws on a racial spectrum. And that's okay. It's okay to acknowledge it, because when you acknowledge it, then you can do something about it. Rather than, it's like how our parents, when they fight, right? And then we go ask, Mommy, Daddy, are you going to get divorced? And they're like, no. Next thing you know, they get divorced. That's not nice. Like, it's all about communication and like having that chain of, or the channel to let people know that it's not a we control you. It's a let's work this out together. Let me lead you in this though.